So take the first one. It said, the first question. It said, which type of unemployment occurs when the demand for a product is only at certain times of the year? Before we go into that, what is unemployment itself? Unemployment is a situation whereby people that are willing and able to work, and they are in the age of working, but they cannot find a job. That is what unemployment is. They might ask you in the exam what unemployment is. Not maybe seasonal here. Unemployment is a situation whereby people that are willing and able to work, that are in the age category to work, but cannot find a job. That is unemployment. We have different types of unemployment. We have structural unemployment. For structural unemployment, it's a situation whereby there's unemployment as a result of changes in the whole industry. That is structural unemployment. Structural unemployment is an unemployment that results into work as a result of changes in the whole industry. Things are changing from the old industry. That's from the structure. So that's why there's unemployment. We have cyclical. Cyclical unemployment is an unemployment that results from the reduction in the aggregate demand in the economy. The demand in the economy has fallen. As a result, there's unemployment because it's cyclical. So if the demand falls, firms will not be able to sell more. They won't be able to keep workers. They have to let workers go. That is cyclical. Seasonal. This is what we're talking about here. Unemployment that comes within a period of time, which is the answer C. Then for voluntary unemployment means you are willing not to work. Do we understand the difference between these unemployments now? Voluntary unemployment means you don't want to work. You don't feel like working. That is voluntary unemployment. Any question about this? Any question, please? Seasonal. The answer is seasonal. Seasonal unemployment is an unemployment that results from a certain period of the year. That means if we don't have a job this year or this period of time because of the season. For example, maybe those that are looking for the jacket, companies that sell jackets, they might not be selling during the summer time. So during summer, you don't buy jackets. Nobody wants to wear a sweatshirt in the summer. So you might lose your job because you work for companies that are selling jackets or sweatshirts. They won't be selling the way they used to sell in the summer, like they will sell in the winter. So you have your job back in the winter, but you lose your job in the summer. That is seasonal. Is it clear? You get your job at a certain period of time, but at the period of the season, you lose the job. And the last type of unemployment we have is called temporary unemployment. Temporary or frictional. For frictional unemployment, it means the time frame between you looking for a new job and leaving a job. So I'm going to leave this job right now to search for a new job. That's frictional or temporary. Is it clear? So I'm telling you the kind of unemployment we have. So this might not be coming out in the exam. Maybe temporary will be coming. So you just have to know what temporary unemployment is. Temporary unemployment is an unemployment that results from the time frame at which an individual leaves a job to search or in search for a new job. Is it clear? Yeah. I'll go to question 2. It said, which of the following terms refers to a tax on imported goods? When we talk about tax, taxes are imposition or government imposition on goods and services. That means government is imposing certain amount of levy that you have to pay because you are producing or because you are consuming. That is what a tax is. So we have different types of tax, but when we talk about imported tax, we're talking about tariffs. The answer is B, tariff. These are tax on importation. Do you get me? Tariff is the answer. Tariffs are taxes on importation. B is the answer. But let me quickly explain A. When we talk about subsidy are financial grants from government to encourage production or consumption of a good or service. That's subsidy. Then fine. A fine is a financial penalty because a firm has broken the law. Do you understand what fine is? And the last one is pollution permit, that you pay a certain amount of money to be able to emit carbon. Is it clear? Is it clear, please? Good. We go to question C. He said, what is meant by the term recession? Recession is a fall in the economic activity. So you can say recession is a fall in the GDP of a country for 2 consecutive quarters. That's 6 months. That's in a year, 6 months, 2 consecutive quarters. When there's a fall in the GDP of a country It is recession. Listen, there's economic growth. Economic growth means the GDP of a country is increasing. The output of a country is increasing. And when it comes to recession, recession means that the economic activity of a country is falling. But it has fell for 2 consecutive quarters. Then there's recession. Recession or slum. Slum is after recession. It is after storm, then you come back to recovery. It's part of the economic cycle or the business cycle. Is it clear? All right. We go to D. For question D, they said, what is meant by the term dumping? When we talk about dumping, it's about importation of goods. So dumping is a process whereby imported goods are much more cheaper than local made goods. Imported goods are much more cheaper than domestic products. So when you import something from, let's say, China, and it is less expensive or cheaper than the product we produce in Libya, that is dumping. Do you understand what dumping is here? It's not possible that our domestic products will be more expensive than imported products. Imported products should be expensive, yes or no? So the situation whereby an imported product is being sold at a reduced cost of production. Let's say dumping is the process whereby an imported product is being sold lower than the cost of production. It's being sold lower than its cost of production. Because your cost of production there should be the same cost of production here. So why are you selling below the cost of production? It means you are selling cheaper than we. So that is what we call dumping. You get dumping here. The process of selling imported products below their cost of production. Clear? Is it clear, please? You have a question? Yes? Importing. When it's cheaper, like the same products. If the same product is more expensive than imported products, like this is a pen, right? If we produce pen in Libya and some businesses import pen from Libya too, but the price of importing, when we check the prices, the local made pen is more expensive than the imported pen. Then that is dumping. It shouldn't happen. Imported products should be expensive than local made products. Do you get it? But if it is not the same way, then there's a problem, which is dumping. So we call dumping as a process whereby the imported product is sold less than the cost of production. Is it clear? All right. We go to question E. Mr. Figure 1 shows the government revenue and expenditure in rupees for India in 2019 to 2020. They said we should calculate fiscal surplus or deficit in Indian rupee. When you have to calculate your fiscal surplus or deficit, it is your total revenue minus your total expenditure. Total government revenue. Total government revenue minus total government spending. Did you get it? Please stop writing this. For fiscal, it is what? Total government revenue minus total government expenditure, which is the same as government spending. Government expenditure is the same as what? Government spending, please. They might be asking you in the exam, explain government spending. It's the same as government expenditure. The amount of money government is spending on goods or services. Is it clear? Great. Now, to calculate the fiscal surplus or deficit, the formula is total revenue minus your total cost. So we have 2,080,201 minus 2,784,200. The answer is minus 703,999. So it's a deficit. The expenditure is more than the revenue. And when the expenditure is more than the revenue, it's what? A deficit. Is it clear? Yeah, it's deficit. The expenditure is more than the revenue. What government is making is more than what is spending. That is a deficit. So your answer is minus 703,999. Is it clear? Is it clear, please? Okay, we'll move on. Okay. Question here. They said in 2019, Hungary introduced a subsidy on new cars for families with 3 or more children. Using the diagram, diagram below, using the diagram below, draw, okay, sorry, I'm missing something here. Okay. Using the diagram below, draw the likely effect of the introduction of a subsidy on the equilibrium price, quantity of new cars for families with 3 or more children, label the new curve, the new equilibrium price, and the new equilibrium quantity. So I'm going to draw a new graph here. So you're going to see it in the lesson. So first, subsidy is a motivation, is an incentive for producers to increase production. What do I say here? Subsidy is an incentive for producers to increase production, which means to increase output. So companies that produce cars, especially space cars, would want to increase their production because there is what? Subsidy. So the supply curve will shift from S to S1. That's downward slope or rightward shift. The supply curve will shift rightward from S to S1. Yeah. I'm going to draw it. You're going to see it in the screen. The supply curve will shift rightward from S to S1. So we're going to have a new supply curve at this point as labeled as S1. Then we're going to have the equilibrium price will fall from PE to P1 because prices will reduce. So we're going to have a low equilibrium price. So at this point, the prices will fall. Subsidy would reduce the cost of production for firms. And as a result, prices become lower. So we're going to have low equilibrium. So the low equilibrium, sorry, trying to draw it here. The low equilibrium will be at, okay, we're going to have low equilibrium. So at now at Q1, okay? Let's see. I draw it on the graph anyway. Let's see. Okay, so okay, so we're going to have, for the graph, we're going to have a rightward shift from S to S1, and the new equilibrium will be from QE to Q1, and the new price will be PE, P1, downward, yeah. So we're going to have it like this. Hold on, please. So that's the graph about that. So we're going to have a low equilibrium price. We're going to have a rightward shift in your supply curve from S to S1. And you're going to have an increase in the quantity supplied in the market from QE to Q1. Is it clear? Great, we'll move on. G now. They said the UK has 13 national parks, with the Lake District National Park being the largest and most popular. It had over 19.17 million visitors in 2018. Woodland covers over the 12% of the national park. Explain one benefit to the UK government of providing parks. So if the UK, here, it's just easy. The UK government is providing a park, a national park. So the advantage is that they said we have over 19.17 million visitors yearly. So this means the UK government can make it a recreation center. They can make it a recreation center. That means people can come. So if it becomes a recreation center, it increases tourism in that country, which improves government revenue and the exports of services in the country. Do we get it? Do we understand the benefits here? The benefit is that the UK government can turn these national parks into recreation centers. That means a lot of people, especially, they said we have 19.17 million. A lot of people can come in as tourists to check on those parks. That will increase the export of services, and it will improve the balance of payments of UK. Is it clear? We'll move on. The next question. Okay, the next question, please. It said, according to a survey from accounting firm EY, foreign direct investment into Ireland increased by 52%, in 2018. With reference to the data above and your knowledge of economics, analyze the benefit of FDI for a country such as Ireland. When you talk about foreign direct investments, these are investments from other countries to your own country. Please put your mind there. Please stop that, please. Foreign direct investments are investments from other countries or other firms in other countries down inwards to your country. That is foreign direct investment. Do you understand what I mean by FDI now? Stop that, please. Yeah. Stop, please. Foreign countries are investing in your country. That's what we call foreign direct investment. Do we understand? It means multinational companies are coming into this country. That is FDI. So the first thing you have to do is to explain the meaning of FDI, which is what? Investment of other countries directly or inward to your country. Is it clear? Now, what? Yeah, because you're writing. FDI means foreign direct investment. An example of foreign direct investment is multinational companies coming into a country. So what are the benefits of FDI coming into this country? One, the first thing you have to do is you explain the meaning of FDI. As soon as you're done with that, another advantage of FDI or benefit of FDI is that it increases the capital investment in the country. This is Ireland, right? It will increase the capital investment in Ireland. How? Multinational companies will come, when they come into this country, they want to invest on equipment, they want to invest on premises, they want to invest on the road, they want to make sure there's communication for their own operations. They won't be able to operate if they don't have good road. They won't be able to operate here if they don't have good communication, because they have to link up with other countries where they have different branches. So that means because they are coming up to set up in this country, infrastructure will improve in this country. To invest, to start their own business. But those things that will stop them, that will hinder their operations, they will have to work on them, like road network, like communication, like investment on equipment. Is it clear? The third benefit of FDI is that it will increase output in the economy. Can you stop this, please? The third benefit of FDI is that it will increase output in the country. Because when multinational companies come into this country, they produce more, yes or no? So that means output will increase here. And as soon as output increases here, we will be able to export more out of the country. Because we have more here, we can export, yes or no? So as soon as we can export more, our balance of payment will improve. Export means that we are trading out of the country, and that will increase our balance of payment, the money that comes into our country. So the money we receive will improve our balance of payment. Is it clear? Balance of payment is a record of the trade relationship between a country and another country. The record of trade relationship between a country and another, that is balance of payment. So you are selling out of this country, that's export. What comes back to you is money. That is part of your balance of payment. It is recorded in your current account of the balance of payment. Is it clear? Shall we move on? Another advantage about FDI is that when MNCs comes into this country, they train the local workers. They train your workers. Another advantage is that when MNCs are established there, it increases employment opportunity. And when it increases employment opportunity, it can also increase government revenue in terms of income tax. A lot of people will have jobs. And when they have jobs, they'll be able to pay income tax to government, increasing government revenue. Is it clear? We'll go to question 2. The question says, an appreciation in the country exchange rate is most likely to lead to which one of the following? Before we go to the options, what does appreciation mean? And what is exchange rate? Exchange rate is the price. Please look here. Exchange rate is the price of a country's currency against other currencies. Exchange rate is the price of the dinars against the dollars, against the pounds, against the euros. That is what exchange rate is. The value of the dinar against the dollars, the value of the dinars against the pounds, The value of the dinars against the euros. That is what exchange rate is. Yeah, we call it exchange rate because it deals with different currencies. We are exchanging different currencies. Is it clear? Great. Now, there are two stages of exchange rate. We have the fixed exchange rate and we have the floating exchange rate. We have two types of exchange rates. We have the fixed exchange rate and the floating exchange rate. For the fixed exchange rate, it's either revaluation or devaluation. That is basically from the government, from the central bank of the country. The fixed exchange rate can either be revalued or devalued. Remember, before now, the dinars was 1 point something. The dinars was 1 point in the bank, not in the black market. In the bank, 1 point something, or yeah, 1 point. Just put it that way. But now it is 4 points, right? Yeah. Compared to the dollar, it is 4 points now, right? That is what we call devaluation. Devaluation is a decline in a country's fixed exchange rate. If the dinars come back to become 1 or 2, we call it revaluation. We have devaluation and revaluation. If the dinar is rising against the fixed exchange rate, it is revaluation. If it is falling, it is devaluation. Now we go to what they talk here. They talk about appreciation. So appreciation goes with the floating exchange rate. For the floating exchange rate, we have appreciation of currency, depreciation of currency. The fixed exchange rate, we have revaluation, devaluation. Revaluation means the currency is increasing. Devaluation means the value is falling. Fixed exchange rate, that is from the central bank of Libya. Then we have the floating exchange rate. The floating exchange rate is the one you talked about in the black market. Yeah, the black market. Medina, where is it called? Where do they change dollar? Yeah, wherever you change dollars, where? So, okay. Listen, that is not the point. The point is, it's okay. Dara. In Dara. So, what we're saying is, the price of dinars over there, please, stop that, please. The price of dinars over there is based on the demand and supply of currency. If the demand increases, the dinars or the dollars will rise. If the demand for dollars increases, if the demand for dollars increases, the dollars will rise against the dinars. If the supply of dollars increases, the dinars will rise against the dollars. So if the dinars rises against the dollars, we call it appreciation. Appreciate. The dinars rise against the dollars. Appreciation for the floating exchange rate. Listen, the fixed exchange rate is determined by the central bank of the country. The floating exchange rate is determined by the demand for and the supply of currency. The government does not take part in that. It is determined by how much more they need dollars, how much more they need dinars. Is it clear? So here we're talking about appreciation. It means the country's currency is rising against other currencies in the floating exchange rate system, not in the fixed exchange rate system. If it's for the fixed exchange rate system, there's nothing like appreciation. There's revaluation. There's nothing like depreciation, devaluation. So if a country's currency is appreciated, the implication is that the exports in that country will become expensive for other countries to buy. Because it means that the dinars will buy more of dollars. If dinars increases ahead of the dollars, it means dinars will buy more of dollars. So countries that wants to buy from Libya would not be able to buy because dinars is expensive. Do you understand? So exports will fall. Then we are able to buy more dollars, right? Imports will increase. So the answer is what? A decrease in exports, an increase in imports. Is it clear? D. Is it clear, please? We go to question B. They said, which one of the following is likely to result in poverty? High literacy rate will improve an economy. People start understanding, they are educated. It will improve the economy. Low GDP per capita, that is the answer. But before we go there, let's talk about this other, the C and the D. For C, low rate of tax. It means purchasing power will increase. People will have more money to spend. Poverty will fall. High employment rate, a lot of people have jobs. So they have money to spend. Poverty will not fall. Low GDP per capita. What is GDP per capita? The formula for GDP, I told you to stop this one. The formula for GDP is GDP divided by the total number of population. Is it clear? So if a country is having low GDP per capita, it means income level in that country is falling. It might lead to poverty. Is it clear? The answer is B. Yeah, B. Question C. They said, state one effect on the balance of payments of improved quality of foreign goods. Foreign goods are imported goods, yes or no? If the quality increases, it means we want to buy more of foreign goods, right? Imports will increase. That's one. The problem is that, another point is that it will give us deficit of balance of payments because we start importing more than exporting. Do you get it? They said one of effects, but I'm giving you three. I'm talking about increase in imports, increase in deficit for the country. And the last one I wrote, increase in deficit. And the last one I wrote is lower exports. You would not be able, you won't be relying on exports. You think more of importation because imports are quality. Do you understand? If import is increasing, export will fall. So high imports, low exports, high deficits. Yes, please. Deficit is when your total expenditure is more than your total government revenue. If a country's total expenditure, country's spending is more than what it takes, that is deficit. If it is more, surplus. If it is equal, balanced. Balance means total expenditure is equal to total revenue. Surplus means total revenue is more than total expenditure. Deficit means total expenditure is more than total revenue. Is it clear? Go on to D. D, they said, what is meant by the term free trade? When we talk about free trade, it's international trade. That means countries are able to trade with one another. There's no barrier to entry. There's no barrier to exit. It is free for everybody to trade. That means we can transact, we can buy goods, we can sell goods from our country to another. That is free trade. Is it clear? The movement of goods and services from one country to another. Is it clear? Yes. Great, we move on. E, they said, in the first quarter of 2019, the unemployment rate in Argentina increased by 1% to 10.1%. That's huge. This was the highest level in 13 years. There's been one impact of rising unemployment to consumer confidence for a country such as Argentina. When unemployment increases like this, it is huge. It means individuals have lost their jobs, which means their purchasing power will fall. They don't have confidence to buy for the future. They only want to solve every problem of now. That is what it means. So the impact is that individuals that have lost their job, they lost their purchasing power. So they only want to solve any problem that they can solve right now. They won't think about buying things for the future purpose. Do you understand? That is the point. Is it clear? Is it clear, or you have a question about it? When the unemployment increases in a country, it means consumption will fall. People will not be able to buy as they used to buy. They will lose confidence about what happens in the future. They only want to solve the problem of now. Is it clear? Great. We move on. They said approximately 12% of goods traded globally are via international e-commerce. What is e-commerce? E-commerce is a transaction of business activity, or is a transaction that allows buyers and sellers to transact or to communicate via the internet. Are you with me? I just said what e-commerce is now. E-commerce, it means the buying, it's a platform. It's a platform where buyers and sellers can transact via the internet. Yeah, Alibaba. These are, yeah, that's e-commerce. Is it? You have it. That is e-commerce. That's the point. Okay. So tens of millions of small and middle-sized firms worldwide have become exporters by joining e-commerce marketplaces such as Alibaba and Amazon. Explain one reason why the reduced cost of communication has helped to increase globalization. What is globalization? Globalization is the movement of goods, capital, people from one country to another. That is globalization. Okay. So now that there's a reduced cost of communication, it means that communication becomes cheaper. Guys, are you here, please? It means that communication becomes what? Cheaper. So if communication becomes cheaper, here I go. Internet makes communication becomes cheaper. As a result, different businesses would be able to trade via different platforms. So I don't need to have huge businesses. I don't need to have huge capital to trade with Alibaba. I can buy from Alibaba and sell to other consumers. Do you get the point? The use of internet becomes cheaper, which means even small businesses can trade via the online. Communication becomes cheaper. But why did communication become cheaper? It becomes cheaper because the use of internet becomes cheaper. So with cheap internet, a lot of small businesses can now trade with Alibaba, can now trade with Amazon. Do you get it? Yeah. Before now, it might be difficult for you to buy things from Amazon. You might be a small business. I could buy from Alibaba and sell to other customers. Yes or no? Before now, I might not have the opportunity to do that because there's no communication. We need communication between the Alibaba workers and me as a business, as a vendor. But now there's cheap internet. So it becomes easier for me to communicate with any businesses I want to buy from. I will buy them, they will ship it into here, and I will sell to my customers. So small businesses are able to transact with even their clients or their suppliers because communication becomes easier and cheaper. Do we get it or we're not convinced?
Sure. So I'm a small business and I buy from Amazon.
Yeah. To sell. Yes. How is it affecting you?
Like, buy there from Amazon without me buying from Amazon and selling to.
They buy directly from Amazon. Amazon might not be able to sell just one. They might want to sell in bulk. Do you understand? Do you understand? Amazon might not want to sell units. They might want to sell more. So it is good for the business to buy in bulk and sell in bits. Is it clear now? Okay, we'll call them online retail. Online retail. Clear? Is it clear, please? Yes. We'll move on. They said in 2019, Germany was considering increasing the tax on meat to protect the environment and improve animal welfare. Currently, meat in Germany has reduced tax rate of 7%. Some political groups are arguing that this should increase to the standard 19%. According to United Nations research, methane from animal accounts for 40.5% of greenhouse gas emissions, more than the direct emissions from transport. With reference to the data above and your knowledge of economics, assess the use of taxation to protect the environment in a country such as Germany. First, taxation. What does taxation do? Taxation reduces the consumption or production of certain goods. So if government wants to reduce your consumption, if government wants to discourage you from producing, they will increase the tax. Do you understand? So taxes are imposed by government to discourage consumption or production of certain goods. That's the first point. Now, the second point. I wrote taxation ensures that both consumers and producers. Another advantage about or the use of taxation is that when there's taxation, it means that you are producing, you will have to pay the social cost. Those that are consuming, they have to pay the social cost. With this social cost today in class, with AS level. So what we're saying is, with taxation, those that are doing the action, those that are involved in the activity will pay for the social cost. That is what taxation is. If I'm not consuming, I won't pay tax for it. If I'm not producing, I won't pay tax for it. So the social cost on tax is the burden of those that are producing or those that are consuming. Yeah. Consumption will fall also. Because if government increases the taxes on meat, it means that those that are consuming meat will pay tax. Those that are producing meat will pay tax. I don't consume meat, I eat fish. Then I'm not going to pay any tax. Do you understand? So another impact on taxation is that we start thinking about substitutes to meat. Because meat, the price for meat has increased. Yes or no? So we start thinking about the substitutes to what? To meat. Meaning that the production of meat will reduce because there's substitutes like fish, like snail, and the rest. Do you understand? So an increase in taxation for meat would mean that consumers start thinking about other products that is not meat that would reduce environmental damage to the society. Is it clear? I made 3 points here. First, taxation means that governments will discourage the consumption and production of meat.
Yeah.
2, taxation will mean that the social cost of the economic activity is being paid by those that are producing or consuming meat. And the third one I'm talking about is taxation will make the price of products like meat increases, which means people will start thinking about alternatives, substitute to meat. And those substitutes might, because of that, the supply for meat will fall, meaning that environmental damage will reduce. Is it clear? Go to question 3. 3. Yeah, this said, figure 3 shows selected UK government receipts from taxation. That is government revenue. Government receipts is the same as what? Government revenue. Are you with me? We have sales tax, value added tax. It is an indirect tax. We did that in the class some 2 days ago. I'm talking to you. We did that in the class some 2 days ago. We talked about taxes, indirect tax. No, we did it in the AX level, indirect taxes. Example of indirect tax is a value added tax. Are you with me? Yeah. Example of indirect tax is a value added tax. Income tax is a direct tax because it's a tax charged on what you get. It's a direct tax. You pay it directly to the government. Tariffs are taxes on importation. Taxes on what? Importation. Okay. And when we talk about taxes on importation, it's an indirect tax because you are paying it based on what you are consuming or what you are buying. So you pay to where you buy, then they will remit it to the government. It's an indirect tax. Business tax is a direct tax because it's charged on the business. So now the question says, what is the total amount of revenue raised by indirect tax? We have 2 indirect taxes here. We have sales tax and we have tariffs. So that's 186.3 plus 31.9. So the answer is 218.2. See, is it clear? What? Yeah, I just said it now. We have direct taxes and indirect taxes. Direct taxes are taxes paid to the purse of the government. Indirect taxes are taxes we paid on consumption to the business. Then the business pays to the government. Example is VAT. Another example is tariffs. Is it clear now? Okay. Question B. C. Question B. They said, member countries of a trading bloc agreed to. What is a trading bloc? A trading bloc are a group of countries that agree to trade together. What do you get what I call a trading bloc here? Group of countries coming together, agreeing on different trading activities. That is trading bloc. To what my definition is. My definition of trading bloc is different countries coming together to do trading activities. That means international trade. That means free trade. That means trade liberalization. It means country A and country B agree to work together in terms of exchanging goods and services. So we are in the same region in terms of what we do together. That is trading activity. That is trading block. So because we agree to do these things together, to trade together, what does this imply here? It depends that we do together with low or no barriers. Trading bloc will encourage free trade. Trading bloc will encourage trade liberalization. Trading bloc will encourage international trade. If country A and country B agrees to deal together, it means there's no barrier to country A and country B dealing together. That means there's no barriers. Everything becomes free in terms of trade relationship. Do we get it or not? Trading bloc means that different countries within the same region agree to do trading activities together. So if Libya and Turkey agrees to do trading together, it means there is no barrier, there's no block, there's no barrier to trading from Turkey and Libya. It becomes free. Yes, it will be free. You only pay for the goods. That is it clear? Yeah, so we go on. They said Brazil currently only allows a quota of 600 million liters of ethanol per year to be imported from the US. Explain one advantage of using quotas for a country such as Brazil. What is quota? Quota means you quantify the amount of imports. That means the number of importation, you have quantified it. It must not exceed this. You put figure, numerical figure on what you can bring into a country. That's importation quota.
There's a limited
To the number of things you can bring into a country. That is import quota. Import quota. Yeah, there is a numerical figure. You cannot bring more than 600. A quota is a kind of trade restriction. Is a barrier. Is a trade barrier. It means government is saying you cannot bring more than this figure to our country.
Yeah,
because they want to protect the infant industry. They want to protect the domestic industry. What are domestic industry? The countries, the businesses in your country. So if government is saying you cannot import more than 600 million, it means government wants to encourage their own country, their own businesses in the country to produce the same product that you are importing.
Yeah, we don't.
We can produce more if they bring less. Do you get it? We can produce more if they bring less. That is what government is trying to encourage. So government is trying to improve the trading activity in its own country instead of relying on imports. So what is the advantage about this? The advantage is that it increases the revenue for domestic businesses in that country because they will be able to produce more. Domestic businesses will be able to produce more. If imports is reducing, it means your country will be able to produce more of what you are importing before. So it increases revenue for local firms or domestic firms. Two, it increases the market share of domestic businesses that produces ethanol. They are importing, Brazil is importing ethanol. But Brazil government says you can only import 600 million. But they need more than 600 million. Maybe they need billions. So if they need billions, it means businesses here will be able to produce those billions needed. It will increase their market share. It will also make that businesses here will increase their output by employing more workers locally to meet the demand of ethanol. Okay, I go on to D. They said the Slovenia government spent 3.05 billion on healthcare in 2019. This included additional funding for reducing the time people were waiting for treatments, and an extra 104 million to cover the recent increase in wage rates of healthcare staff. With reference to the data above and your knowledge of economics, analyze why the Slovenia government might want to increase investment in healthcare. Why would government increase investment on healthcare? Number one, having a workforce, having workers that have better healthcare. That means they are fit enough to work. It will improve the efficiency of the country. Yes or no? Two, with government investment on healthcare, it will mean that a lot of workers will be treated as soon as possible. That means they will not be absent because of sickness. They will not be absent because of sickness. They will be treated as soon as possible. So because they are not absent due to sickness, the output of the country will increase. Government investing on healthcare will mean that people will be treated well and the life expectancy in that country will rise. People will not die as young as possible anymore. So the life expectancy in that country will rise. I gave 3 already. With improvement in healthcare staff, with healthcare, it will mean that the economic activity of the country will increase. How? Increase in healthcare will mean that government will employ more healthcare or health workers. Yes or no? That means more health workers will have jobs. It will improve the standard of living because they're going to have a lot of money to spend because they have jobs. Is it clear? In recent years, Turkmenistan has been one of the fastest growing economies. The most important sector of the economy is oil and natural gas extraction, which accounts for more than 60% of GDP. Although agriculture accounts for only 10% of GDP, it employs 50% of the labor force. Turkmenistan has seen annual GDP growth rates of 6.2. Basically, from this extract, Turkmenistan is a developing economy because it relies on what? Primary production. Do you understand that point? Yeah, so now let's go to the case study. The question says, with reference to the data above and your knowledge of economics, assess the likely benefit of economic growth for a country like such as Turkmenistan. The first thing you do is you define what economic growth is. Economic growth is what? An increase in the level of output of Turkmenistan. That is economic growth. So what are the benefits of economic growth? Number two, rapid economic growth will increase output, like we said, which means exportation will increase in Turkmenistan. And if exportation increases, the balance of payments will improve. Yes or no? The third advantage is that because there's economic growth, employment opportunity will increase. Yes or no? As employment opportunity increases in such country, consumption will increase. Consumers will have a lot of money to be able to buy. So aggregate demand will increase in such economy. Yes or no? Yes. And that will lead to what? An improvement in the standards of living. Do you understand? The last one I'm going to talk about is due to increase in employment rates, income tax will increase for government. Government will have more revenue. And because of that, government will be able to finance other aspects that they are unable to work on. Like healthcare, government will be able to finance healthcare. Government will be able to finance education. Government will be able to give out infrastructure because their revenue has increased because of income tax. Is it clear? Question 4. Zhang Li had 8,000 yuan in her savings. The annual interest rate for this savings account was 2.25%. Calculate how much interest in yuan Zhang Li received in 1 year to show your working. First, the principal is 8,000. Are you with me? You write principal equals to 8,000. Interest rate is 2.25. Then the answer is to find the interest. It is 8,000 multiplied by 2.25 divided by 100. 8,000 multiplied by 2.25 divided by 100. So the answer is 180 yuan. Is it clear?
Yes.
The next one.
Yeah.
In July 2019, China's annual inflation rate increased by 2.8%. This was the highest rate since February 2018. With reference to the data above and your knowledge of economics, analyze the impact of inflation on individuals in a country such as China. The first thing is you define inflation. What is inflation? Inflation is a persistent rise in the prices of goods and services within an economy over a period of time. Persistent rise in the prices of goods and services in an economy over a period of time. That is inflation. So the second thing is, what are the impacts of inflation? With inflation, with an increase of inflation by 2.8%, it means that prices of goods have increased,
Yes.
which means the aggregate demand in that economy will fall.
Yeah.
Do you understand? That means purchasing power will fall in that economy. 3, many individuals may not have the ability to buy what they used to buy. Many individuals, because of inflation, many individuals will not have the ability to buy what they used to buy. The last one I'm going to talk about is shoe leather cost, which is another cost of inflation. Shoe leather cost will increase. What is shoe leather cost? Shoe leather cost means that people will start looking for different shops to be able to see where they can buy at a lower price. So shoe leather cost, that means you continue to walk around to find a better price. That is shoe leather cost. Is it clear? We move on, please. Since March 2019, the overall inflation rate for China has been above 2%. In July 2019, China's food prices increased by 9.1% from the previous year. In particular, meat prices rose by 27% due to the spread of infectious animal diseases. At the same time, fresh food prices rose by 39.1% as the Chinese food supply has been affected by severe weather. Severe weather conditions will reduce supply. Yes or no?
Yes.
Great. Let's go to the question. Here, first, okay, that's the China rate of inflation. It has risen to 2.8, from 2.3 to 2.8. Okay. Now, with reference to the data above and your knowledge of economics, evaluate the effectiveness of monetary policy in controlling inflation in countries such as China. The first thing you have to talk about is what is monetary policy. Listen, please. Monetary policy is the use of interest rates. Stop that, please. Monetary policy is the use of interest rate and monetary supply and money supply to manipulate or to control the economy. The use of interest rate and money supply to manipulate or control the economy. That's monetary policy. What is interest rate? Interest rate is the price of savings and borrowing. Money supply is the quantity of money in circulation in an economy. I did 3 things here. I talked about monetary policy, which is the use of interest rate and money supply to control the economy. I talked about interest rate, which is the price on saving and borrowing. And I talked about money supply, which means the measurement of the money in circulation within a country. Now the question. With monetary policy, first you have to define what monetary policy is, which I did already, right? So with monetary policy can be used to reduce inflationary pressure in China by the PBOC. That means with monetary policy, it will reduce inflation pressure. That means you won't start thinking about, because there's money supply. So government will reduce money supply in the economy. So money will not be in circulation. As a result, a lot of people will not come to PBOC to borrow money, to the bank to borrow money, because there's no money in supply. There's no money in circulation. So that means inflationary pressure will what? Will reduce. Is it clear? Is it clear, please? The third one, an increase in the interest rate will reduce borrowing and savings. Listen, I said interest rate is the price on borrowing and savings. So if interest rate increases in an economy, it means people will not be able to borrow money because the price to borrow will rise. Rather, people will start thinking of saving more because, listen, we said interest rate means what? The price on borrowing and savings. So if interest rate increases, people will not be able to borrow more. They would start saving more money to the bank, yes or no, to enjoy the high interest rate. As a result, aggregate demand will fall, investment will fall. People don't want to spend anymore. They want to save. Yeah, because interest rate is high. Listen, interest rate is the price you pay because you are borrowing money from the bank. If the interest rate increases, when you borrow money, that means you have to pay high interest on borrowing. So that will discourage you from borrowing. We said interest rate is the price on savings. So you will think of saving more because when you save more, you get high interest. on your savings. Do you know that there's a difference between savings and borrowing? Borrowing means you are borrowing from the bank. Savings means you are putting money in the bank. If the interest rate increases, it means that savings will increase in the economy because a lot of people want to save to enjoy the high interest rates instead of borrowing to pay more on interest. You save your own money into the bank. Yeah, you will enjoy interest rates. You're not giving the bank money. You are saving your money in the bank. Because you are doing that, the interest the bank will pay you will high. When you save money into the bank will give you interest. So if interest rate is increasing, it will encourage you to save more than borrowing. Because if you borrow, you pay more on interest. Did you get the point now, please? Interest rate will encourage, high interest rate will encourage savings than borrowing. As a result, the aggregate demand in the economy will fall because people do not buy anymore, they are saving money. This will reduce demand pool inflation. There's demand pool inflation. Inflation as a result of increase in aggregate demand. But now people are not buying. Rather, they are saving money. So demand in the economy will fall. That will reduce inflation. Will reduce inflation, as a result, reduce the price. The kind of inflation it will reduce is called demand pool inflation. There are different kinds of inflation. We have demand pull inflation, we have supply push inflation. That is as a result of an increase in the cost of production. Demand pull is as a result of increase in the demand in the economy. Supply push is as a result of increase in the cost of production. Is it clear? And that's all about economics here. So yes.